So get off and take a breather for a second. You know, if you're on the highway or something, sure, roll into the ditch, right, and get out of the way.
I like the photo thing.
Yeah. So step number one is come in and turn the bike off, right? Just take that second, turn the bike off. Step number two, make sure that the bike is in gear, right? And a lot of riders forget this because they're thinking in their mind, probably, well, I was in gear when I tipped over, and they don't realize that either one, they can kick the bike into neutral when they're coming off the bike, or they had already kicked the bike into neutral, which was the reason why when they went to make their turn and they gave it some power, the bike tipped over and fell over, and they didn't realize that they were actually in neutral. So
my bike's always in neutral when the engine's off, so I guess make sure that lock brake is on.
exactly, right? And so that's why this 1, 2, 3 process helps to make sure that you pick up on these things that could be a problem, right? So it might not seem like a huge deal to have the bike in gear until you realize that you're on a little bit of a slope, and as you're picking it up, the bike is rolling away, and you're like, holy crap, I wish I'd put the bike in gear, right? So bike off, bike in gear. The other thing that comes
Now,
from this...
it is very easy to do it on a motorcycle that's laying down it that way. When we have a motorcycle like this, that the actual tire is actually touching the ground, it is a little bit more difficult. There is no much, really, it doesn't take much energy to move the motorcycle until that back wheel is actually free, right? So just be aware. Again, Ryan easily put that motorcycle in gear. When the motorcycle is leaning in this other direction, the gear shift is on inside of the motorcycle. So you have here two options. You either just go inside and try to actually put the motorcycle in gear, and if you're unable to do that because of whatever reason, at least you're aware that the motorcycle is not in gear and you're going to be lifting the motorcycle in neutral, and you need to be paying more attention about the terrain and how it's configured the motorcycle.
And that just, again, gives you the option to, or the ability to think about that, right? So maybe you decide, you know what, it's completely flat here. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I'm just going to lift it when it's in neutral. Or maybe you're like, well, I'm actually in a spot here where I'm on a bit of a uphill or downhill or whatever. This is going to be a bit crappy if I have to try and lift it like this. So what do? I don't know. Maybe I take out some paracord and wrap it around my brake, right, to hold the brake on. Or I take my belt off and I tie it around there. You know, or I grab a rock off the side and I jam it under the back wheel. Like, there's a lot of different things, but at least if you've done the 1, 2, 3 process, you have those options to come to the bike and go, oh crap, yeah, I can't get it into gear. Okay, well now what do? I prepare myself, I figure it out. At least you have the ability to know. So bike in gear, bike off, bike in gear. Last one, side stand out, right? Again, this is one that gets forgotten, particularly when people are in a rush, hoping that no one will see what happened, that they've tipped over. And it's going to end up being on YouTube or something, right, when you fall over the other time. Again, same thing, no ability to put the kickstand down on when the bike's down on this side, we still have to lift the bike. But at least we've done bike off, I spindled around, and maybe I've got the bike in gear, I come and I'm like, no side stand. Okay, I still got to lift the bike, but at least now I'm sort of hyper aware that that is a problem, and I'm not just lifting and not realizing that it's not there, because I have watched an officer go ass over tea kettle the other way because he didn't put the side stand down, and it's really embarrassing, and I tell that on every single course, and I tell him that whenever I'm back in Victoria.
Tell us, what happened?
Something else, you notice that both of our motorcycles are down and have been down for a while. We have this idea that when the motorcycle is down, oh my God, it's going to be spilling liquid and it's going to be really, really bad for the motorcycle. Not at all. In fact, yes, the motorcycles are not designed to actually be laying down for a long period of time, but the reality is nothing's going to happen to your motorcycle. So do not try to rush to lift your motorcycle, even with the right technique. Like I was telling this story in south of France. Take a moment, take a breather, take a photo, right? Realize, check yourself, get that adrenaline down, right? The motorcycle, nothing's gonna happen at the end of the day. The motorcycle's gonna run. And you have a story about the Harley Davidson, right?
Oh, yeah. We had a police bike doing figure eights on a steep hill in a course, and the staff sergeant flipped it, and literally rolled. I've never seen it. So the bike was completely upside down at the end on the road, and fluid came out of everywhere. And we got it back up right and wiped it all down and let it sit for 15 minutes or so, and it fired up and it ran just like a Harley. Like, so, you know, I mean, you're not gonna kill it, right? So, so people, it doesn't have to be some huge emergency to get in there and pick it up instantaneously, right?
What
So,
other damage to the bike?
what's that?
What other damage to the bike?
To that Harley?
Mm.
Yeah, well, he broke the screen on it and a few little scuffs and scrapes.
And
Actually, it wasn't too bad.
And there's all the benefits to laying your motorcycle down, right? If you have to do some brake work, for instance, you have the wheel right here. You can actually unscrew when a filter that is being misplaced, or so there is some benefits actually if you're by yourself. Lay the motorcycle down with a carpet, just be careful about it. If you need to grease the change. So there's a lot of benefits. It's not gonna hurt the motorcycle when the motorcycle goes down.
I mean, I do this every now and then. I don't wash my bike all that
Nope.
often, but
right.
every now and then I'll actually, take it in. I'll lay it down either in the driveway, or I've gone to those spray washes, whatever, and I'll lay it down there just so I can get down and spray some degreaser in there and spray off the
Oh
bottom
yeah,
of it.
one of those you need now. I'm sorry.
Okay, so actually picking up the bike. We've done the bike off, bike in gear, side stand down. So for the bar lift method, what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the wheel up in the direction that we're lifting the bike. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna grab the bar here. You can either grab the bar with two hands, grab it with one and put your hand under, which is what I tend to do. Whatever's gonna feel more comfortable. You'll see that the first little bit, until I get both wheels on the ground, there's not a lot of weight there to it. So it's that first part is just getting to where I have those 2 points of contact. And now what I want is I'm basically gonna try and use leverage to my advantage as much as possible. So I don't want to try and lift straight up, because now I'm lifting all the way to the bike. What I want to do is I want to commit fully and have my body leaned in on an angle so that I'm leaning in and I'm pushing against the bike. And now I'm using that leverage in my body weight to help me lift the bike. And you'll see that I will lean against the bike. I'll get it up a little bit. I can drive the handle sort of into my hip, and it's leaning against me and I'm leaning in, and I can kind of wait there for a second and take a breather, and then I'll lift it a little bit higher and I'll drive my hip into the side of the bike, but I'm leaned in on an angle, so I'm leaning against it, it's leaning against me, and you can see that I'm not really exerting myself all that much. And nice slow steps as you lift the bike up.
And that leaning commitment is actually, if the motorcycle is not there, you should be able actually to fall forward, right? So that much of a leaning commitment.
So bike comes up to here. You can see I'm kind of coming in on an angle here, and eventually I'm going to have to rotate around and lift in. But I'll lean right in against the bike and do this. I can let the bike sort of sit against me, and I can take a breather for a second. Take a breather. Ride my hip right in, and then the bike's in gear, so it's not sliding around on me. And I can wait if I need to, respond to a tweet or something. I can. Slow steps, slow steps. I get to here, even though I've done my check before, I'm still going to double check and just make sure my stand is still down and the bike is up.
And you're doing most of that with your legs.
Yeah. Legs is everything you want to do. You don't want to be lifting with your arms, right? Because
I've seen people who actually walk the bike backwards.
Yeah.
You know, is that a good technique?
it works for some people and some bikes. These are the two that we think are the easiest for people to learn to do.
Another thing is my wife has problem with the techniques when the motorcycle gets to here, and because she doesn't have the strength to hold the motorcycle. Once the motorcycle is actually balanced, that kickstand will hold the weight of the motorcycle, so you can let the motorcycle go a little bit. You don't need to hold it, because we are in an awkward position trying to lean the motorcycle in this direction and hold it with your arm. So once you get the motorcycle level, you can let the motorcycle go, and the kickstand will take the weight.
So the other technique is back lift. So again, because this one doesn't sit as low, I wouldn't use the back lift on a bike like that, because it sits too low and you really have to be sort of a Romanian gymnast to get down there and do that. So the idea with this one is that in a perfect world, I want to sort of get
Come this way, please.
that edge of the seat there, kind of on the edge of my back. And I can use that kind of as some leverage. The bar is going to be pulled in towards me this time, so the wheel is facing down. It's just that gives me a spot to hold on to, and then I need to find something else on the other side to grab onto. So I've done my bike off. Bike in gear. It's not. No, I can't get at it, so I'm just going to do the lift
But
this time. And
we
I
can over
Yep,
here
try.
there's a little bit here accessing from the back. It's much easier. But again, if you don't have that ability, just try to reach it. One of the two ways you can reach.
And
Why don't you want the wheel turned out that way so that you're getting that?
you're not going to be able to hold on to it, right? Because of the way I'm going to hold on and lift up, I need that bar in so that I have something to hold on to there, all right? So we're going to come in, and again, with this one, you want to lift with your legs, so you want your arms to be fairly locked out, right? You're not lifting with your arms, and you want to be pushing back on an angle like this, the same thing, right? I don't want to come in here like this and try and just squat the bike,
Lift it.
right? I want to have my legs out, and you have to be aware of your surface appraisal, right? Like if I come in here and it's a lot of gravel and everything, I'm aware of the fact that the bike's going to probably slide back a little bit. My feet are going to slide, so you're just going to have to sort of figure some of those things out.
But at no angle whatsoever in an asphalt, the motorcycle's gonna slide back. So you no matter how much force you put in against to those wheels, the motorcycle will not slide down. You're not gonna fall backwards.
So I'm into this spot. Now I would like, my butt to sort of be a little bit lower so I'm on the edge of the seat, but it's just not comfortable for me to get down that far, right? So I'm gonna start sitting more up kind of in the middle of the seat, and as the bike comes up, I'm gonna let it sort of slide down and get into that sort of cruck on my back there. So here, arms are locked, and lifting with the legs, leaning back as much as I can here, right?
If you come this way, fellas, and you can actually see the angle, the triangle between his legs and the motorcycle, right? He's fully committed with it, right? Obviously, if the motorcycle is not there, he's gonna fall backwards. And there's no strength here,
Yeah, I'm not
right?
lifting with my arms.
He's just basically holding it, but
And you can see I'll sort of let the bike sort of slide down. Once I can get my hip underneath there,
smaller steps.
now I can get to that spot where I'm pushing with my legs and my hip and I'm letting it sit against me, right? You can relax and just keep taking those small steps. And I'm gonna get it to this point where I know I don't have my side stand down now, and with my hip, right, I can keep leaning against the bike and just rotate in. And there we go.
Beautiful.